Good afternoon, everybody, and welcome. Thanks for braving the weather, and hopefully we can get out of here before the storm intensifies. This is the September 26th Design Review Board meeting. And first item is the approval of last month's meeting minutes. So are there,
Make a motion for approval.
Second.
all in favor, say aye.
Aye.
All opposed? The ayes have it. Okay,
Okay, so our first item under signs tonight is going to be for 105 Grandview Drive. This is an installation of a monument sign and they are requesting final approval. To give you a bit of background on this, the applicant submitted a permit for a freestanding sign that met the requirements of our ordinance and was issued a permit as such. We then discovered that in 2005, the DRB issued an approval for the Grandview development, which is that shopping center that the Sonic is located in, that permitted a multi-tenant brick monument sign at the entrance to Grandview from Berlin G Parkway, with the condition that the individual tenants could not have their own freestanding signs in addition to the multi-tenant sign at the front of the entrance. This was revisited by the DRB in 2015. The Steinberg law firm wanted their own freestanding sign. The DRB at that time conditioned their approval to allow freestanding signage, but only on a case-by-case basis as approved by the DRB. And the businesses in question would not be permitted to have signage within the original freestanding brick sign at the entrance of the development. I was unaware of these conditions. I did not work for the town at the time that this agreement was made with DRB, but we did discover this through the minutes for other properties. The permit for the monument sign was revoked until DRB could review this request from Sonic for a freestanding sign. The sign has been revised from the original submittal, but it is still compliant with the UDO requirements. If we have the applicant here, if they could come up to answer any questions the board has. We have anyone here for 105 Grandview? You can choose to either discuss the request and vote on it, or you can choose to defer it if the applicant isn't here.
I think we're going to defer it.
I'll make a motion.
Second.
All those in favor say aye. Aye. All those opposed say nay. Okay, we are deferring the Sonic sign application.
All right, so our next sign would be for the Knightsville UMC Church. They are requesting additional signage and requesting final approval. So the Knightsville Methodist Church is requesting an additional monument sign for their property. The property technically has 2 address points, and it was originally 2 parcels, but then the property line was abandoned, so it's now just one. The ordinance only allows for 1 monument sign for this parcel, so the request for an additional sign is subject to design review, rather than staff. And Wayne, if you want to talk about the project.
How are we all tonight or this afternoon?
Good, Wayne.
The church is wanting to put up an LED panel board on the property, in the center of the property, away from the sanctuary. And I'm not sure if y'all can see what I see, but they're wanting to put it, and it was where the original, basically the parsonage was. It doesn't interfere with any directional left or right. They've got approximately 390 to 400 feet of street frontage. So asking for a second sign for the church.
They want to keep the existing sign as is?
Yes, sir. Yes, sir. They want to keep the existing sign in front of it's actually in front of the sanctuary. She does. Go back, right there.
And that's directly like in front of the church.
Hardly see it.
And where is this sign located on the site plan? Can we
In the
go
middle
back?
of the property. If you see the church there, the sign is in front of the sanctuary. The new Sign location is right there where it says, existing driveway or the old Parsons driveway.
And why do you think the proposed location is more conducive to traffic?
Center of the property. They want to be able to advertise some services. They want to advertise they've all got the pumpkin patch coming up. Things of this nature.
Is that an existing sign on it? Is it-
That's a banner frame and that will be taken up once we get an approval. Yes, ma'am.
Is that about the same location as? the
No,
sign?
ma'am, it's,
Yes, it is. It's on the other side of the trees. isn't it?
yes. It's away from the tree line. It'll be, basically under the canopy, but it's not interfering with the oaks at all.
And the building that is close to, that's the gym.
The
What is
gym
that?
is directly behind it.
Right.
The office in the gym area is directly behind it and Sunday school building.
Are those trees, and if they are trees, would they obscure that side of the sign?
No, sir, it does not. Basically, what you see there is standing where the sign would be, the backside of the sign, looking left, and there's one to the right.
So that banner goes away.
Sir,
The banner. in the
Yes, sir.
middle goes
will go away.
Okay, as long as that goes away.
So I have a architectural design question. Have you tried looking at incorporating some of your existing sign architecture, which is,
We
wood
have,
into this sign as opposed to creating more of a brick monument?
it wouldn't have the better visibility.
It would not?
It would not
Why is that?
because of the trees and the woods on. right
Oh,
on
no,
the
I'm
other
not
side of that sign.
I'm not saying the location. I'm just saying architecture, design, perhaps instead of the massive brick
Right, I
that
can.
it's
build it
framed
into-
with wood and maybe there's some, if this is a logo or some of your script, if that can go on top versus just,
I can, but it may bring it too low to the ground because you've got a 6-foot height limit.
Okay, thank you. No problem.
Because the sign itself is 3 foot high and 8 foot wide. I can make the sign out of wood, but I really don't want to put an electrical sign on wood like that.
I mean, the brick has to hide, the LED, you gotta have something. So is the brick hiding
Yeah,
the,
It's hiding all the electrical work
right, the
into
stuff
it.
that you have to have?
I think it blends better with the brick in the church.
Sir?
Blends better with the
Yes, sir, it
church
does.
and the church's buildings to be of a
And this is
similar material to
be
brick.
the old church, because that church is, 50 years old. They don't, Salisbury Brick's not in business anymore. So we've got as close a match as we could to the existing church.
It's good.
so the brickwork would kind of match this.
Yes, sir.
Okay.
Yes, sir.
And the other buildings.
Tell me the size of that new sign again. It's only
3 foot by 8 foot.
Oh, it's 3 foot over the
Yes, ma'am.
base.
Yes, ma'am.
It's not totally 3 feet.
It's 6 foot.
Correct.
6 foot total.
And this complies with all staff
Yes,
UDO requirements?
the LED reader board will be a single color display as a condition of the approval. And Wayne does these signs all the time for us, so he's
Right. The other.
very
thing is,
familiar with the conditions.
it will have color in it. They can do it as a single color picture. One of the things that, Ms. Zimmerman asked is, no graphics. I've got pictures of other, signs in town that have graphics on them. They're static, but they're still a graphic. Instead of just a black background and a red text or green background and white text. Austin Middle School, Cornerstone Baptist Church. I've got pictures that I can show you.
I think we make a motion to approve.
Second.
think we need to be clear about what's going on.
Can I just,
We are clear.
Are we?
Yeah.
Okay.
It meets all of the ordinance requirements. The only item that y'all are considering is that they have a second sign.
okay, did we have a motion
And so.
and a second? All those in favor, say aye. Aye. All those opposed, say nay. The ayes have it.
Thank you.
Thank you very much.
Have a great day.
The applicant for 105 Grandview is here, so I'd ask that we hear that sign before we go into new business, if that's okay with the board.
Yes.
Okay. Right. So again, to just quickly go over the staff report, what the board is considering is allowing, on a case-by-case basis, a monument sign for, in addition to the, multi-tenant brick sign as conditioned by previous approvals in 2015 and 2005.
The applicant has its own lot.
I'm sorry.
The Sonic is on its own lot,
Yes, yes, here.
but this was originally approved for the entire development to have one.
Correct, yes. The original developer wanted that multi-tenant monument sign, and the DRB conditioned their approval to allow it as long as the other, the tenants didn't have their own freestanding signs as well. The idea behind that from the minutes seemed to be that they wanted less clutter in the right of way.
But we've already allowed several other.
The
monuments.
Steinberg Law Firm was permitted. The Firestone also has its freestanding signage, but it does front another street, so it's a little bit different of a scenario, but I believe this on this side of Grandview is the only business that does not have a freestanding sign or is not right next to that multi-tenant sign.
Do we have photographs of the existing conditions?
I can pull them up on Google Street View. I believe there's just a flagpole.
Yeah, there's
And
no
some-
existing signage,
Some landscaping.
no existing ground signage. That's the
Right.
question. I'm sorry.
Let's see. Get out to the street here. So I believe the sign will be going right near where the flag is.
That's correct.
And whose flag is that? Sonic's?
Yes.
Yeah.
Sonic.
Because it should be out of the right of way, correct?
Get me out to the street.
Steinberg next to some.
Yes.
It is, yes.
Yes, ma'am.
And they have a freestanding monument sign
In
or is
someone's
it?
yard. Sorry, y'all, I'm taking you on a tour of 78.
It's on a tour.
Hey.
Hang a right.
Right.
Oh, Steinberg.
So Steinberg has one,
It's right there. There you go.
Firestones is over here.
Yep.
And then Sonic is just next door. Whoa,
It's the next building maybe.
No, the next building's a shopping center, then Navy Federal.
and these buildings have their signage on the monument sign, which is, if you care to see it. Further down here.
So was the, if you happen to know, was the flagpole with the Sonic flag approved as the secondary sign? As is Berlin Meyer sign?
Wouldn't approve it all.
I don't believe we've ever
It's just put
reviewed
up.
any flags or, not to my knowledge, at least.
I don't think that would have counted towards a sign anyway.
Typically, no. We don't allow flagpole signage, but those are,
Can you just
Different.
confirm where the sign is relative to the flag?
oops.
Can you go back to the site plan? That'll kind of give you a better idea. Should be in the packet.
So the flag is pretty central to the lot.
Yeah, so it's a little to the right of where the flag is, I would say.
And is the proposed size of your sign in line and matching the existing signs, or is this a lot bigger?
Now, when you said the existing sign, you mean like Stein
Yes.
Law?
Steinberg.
It appears to be smaller than the Stein sign, but not by much. It looks like the other sign may be 60 to 70 square feet, where this one's 50.
Okay.
And it's on
It's a lighted sign.
yes, ma'am.
And are the other existing signs illuminated? Do you happen to know?
Steinberg, I would
Okay.
think, has external illumination. The Firestone one is, I believe, illuminated, yes. But internal illumination is permitted in GB.
17 feet.
I think they ought to go ahead and do it. 'cause
So-
It's,
Not obnoxious.
yeah, as long as they don't take any trees down. Leave the shrubbery.
Don't.
When I read it,
That
can't
side,
see
I
signs.
didn't know it was still there. You don't know that it's there
You
from
can't.
the Berlin.
They need the sign because you can't
They
see
do need
signs.
a sign.
Agreed.
Yeah.
I agree.
Now, what we
Make motion for approval.
But we
Hey,
Second.
just amend it as long as no trees. I don't
Yeah.
think there are any there, but.
No, ma'am, it's clear there. There's no trees. They're gonna put a little landscape up there, but no trees.
Okay.
All those in favor say aye. Aye. All those against say nay. The ayes have it.
Thank you.
Congratulations.
All right. So our next project is 4470 Ladson Road. This is the future express oil change and tire engineers. This was previously approved, given final approval in February of 2023. Due to owner's restrictions, the tenant has had to make some changes to their plans. The changes were to the design of the roof line, entryway, and some minor parking modifications. The changes are completely compliant with the UDO. However, they were significant enough that they could not be approved at a staff level. So I'll hand it over to you if you want to discuss
Sure.
the changes.
Could you state your name and
Yeah.
your role on the project?
Mallory Schofield, and I'm an owner.
Okay.
Thank you. Yes, so materials, none of that has changed. The only thing that's changed would be the front entry. And the front entry had to change. We had a gabled roof with like a shed roof, more country style, obviously. But due to some covenants that some lawyer found from 1984, I think it was, they're pushing us to keep the roof line at 18 feet, not including parapet and whatnot. So that meant we had to go to essentially a flat roof or almost flat. So structurally, they had to change and put in what they call bar joists, I guess a steel joist of some sort, which meant that the gable design wasn't going to work. So now we have that parapet design entry. We kept the shed roof, but obviously there's less pitch on the roof itself, and then the entryways changed. Those are really the only two changes to the building.
The space is the road.
Yes, ma'am.
Can you go to the end elevation, especially the Benton Lodge Road?
Sorry again.
Can you go to the end elevation along,
what it looks like from Benton
Yep.
Lodge.
from Benton Lodge? I think it's the next one. So let me just ask you, what is this large white panel on the tower there? What is that material?
Where? Can you put your cursor on it, maybe?
Yep,
It says
exactly.
five
Party
cement.
board,
and what's the color?
Arctic white. I've got the presentation. Those haven't changed.
Census.
but we want to see it.
Do we have what was approved originally?
Right.
So
I
is
don't
this
have
the
it in the-
original or this is,
I had her redo.
Okay,
This
okay.
part of it. So yeah, the Arctic white is a pre-painted Arctic siding, so it comes from the factory pre-painted. The Savannah moss is the main body of the building. Of course, down around the bottom is that. That's just being used on the top. Yeah, I think everybody was all right with this last time around.
Beck, is it legal for a private entity to override town zoning requirements?
So
I
they,
don't
I mean,
think it is.
we don't get involved in private property matters between
We
the
never
property owner and
have
tenant.
before. It's never come up before, but I don't think it's legal.
I mean, as,
I don't think they can override what we have approved.
again, we don't get involved in private matters between the tenant and the property owner. So that would be completely, if
Well,
they have a deed that was
That being the
recorded.
case, then we could have every project we approve denied by the HOA or whatever.
Most of our.
I think it would be safe to say that would end up in court.
So it's the
One way
first
or
time in
another.
20 years it's ever come up. I think it's a bad precedent.
That's
Well,
what I
will
was
tell you, I
saying.
think what they
Yes.
Presented is a great looking building.
It looks good. I would approve this building. It's fine.
Yeah, well, yeah,
Understand your question.
the first time everybody thought there was too much roof exposed anyway, so I guess we solved that problem unwillingly, but it's solved.
I recall we had a lot of discussion at the approval meeting on the garage door design. Does everything match what was approved except for the roof line?
Yes, and so we actually had a conditional approval. And one of the things that had to get changed was the garage door design, so that has been incorporated into this drawing. With the kick plate and all the aluminum is gonna be powder coated to all match, so Arctic white and all that stuff is all gonna be done at the factory to match. I think that was one of the concerns.
Okay, do we have any further discussions, questions for the applicant? Okay, do we have a motion?
Okay, how much?
We have a motion for approval?
Yes.
Do we have a second?
Second.
All those in favor, say aye. Aye. All those opposed, say nay. The ayes have it.
All right, I appreciate it.
All right, next we have the Sawmill Medical Office Building. This came before you last month, and then the overall site has also been reviewed. They are requesting final approval. The proposed architecture echoes features of the materials approved for the approved medical office. Staff would recommend, if there are any concerns about the window locations, which was brought up at the last meeting, not being set due to tenants submitting for their upfit build outs later on, that DRB could grant staff the authority to approve any minor horizontal shifting of the window openings to align with the internal footprint of the tenants. Staff would also advise that an addressing plan be submitted for review and approval, as the address of 101 and 107 Sawmill Center Drive are in use and cannot be utilized for future submittals.
All right. Good afternoon. My name is Chris Altman. I'm with SMHA Architects. At the last meeting we came to you for conceptual, there were no actionable items presented by the board that we needed to address. So I'll just speak to the couple of things that we've tweaked since then. If you could go to that elevation right there. Perfect. You can see a little bit, not so much on this elevation, but others. We tweaked the window locations a little bit, as we told you, as we're starting to see conceptual interior layouts happening. Again, moves of a couple of feet, nothing major. The other change that we did is we relooked at that front canopy entry area to make it a little bit more human scale appropriate. The original one we felt was a little too high and too large. So we brought that down to a more appropriate scale. Outside of those two changes, we have not changed anything else on the building. So yeah, with that, I'll be happy to answer any questions you might have.
Did you happen to bring a sample board?
I brought it last time. I realized I did not bring it this time, but we have all the materials. So the brick on the bottom of the building will match the other sawmill project we're doing currently. The wall panel is just a standing seam metal wall panel on the building. And then where the Roper sign is Corten steel. So
The little glass entryway,
Mhm.
that color change or?
we did just graphically, it'll be a metal panel that has a wood look to the outside. That
Isn't yellow.
No, ma'am, it won't be yellow. We haven't solidified it, but it will be more in that warm wood color family. That's why we changed it, because that yellow is not really accurate.
And then there were questions earlier about where the windows would be and that those
Yes,
windows might shift.
Yes,
some.
ma'am. So one of the concepts behind the elevations was that those windows don't have a set pattern. So as the interior, who's being done by a different organization, gets developed, we could shift those slightly so that we can align with offices and exam rooms as needed. We've kind of laid it out as a best guess at this point. But again, they may move a foot or two right or left, but nothing dramatic.
Are those air handling units that we see on the roof, or are those the back of towers on the other side?
So you're seeing both. Those are placeholders. So we actually met with our MEP engineers today. And so once we have a finalized size of those, we'll adjust the height of the parapet, however much, maybe a foot to make sure we're screening those. So those are sort of placeholders at this point.
Can you go to the site plan and just explain how traffic is moving and trash is handled and utilities?
Sure. So the trash dumpsters you can see on the bottom portion of the site there. The majority of the traffic will be coming in on the left-hand side from Burling G. Myers. So that way, correct. And then there's a sort of a circular vehicular loop that happens there. I'm not sure if it shows up on another plan a little better. Not really, but it's to the left of that. So they will be entering south of the building plan and then coming into the parking lot.
So our landscape expert isn't here, but you've met the requirement of all.
I believe so, yes. Yes, sir. There it is.
Now, can you look at the elevation off the Station Street? Show that back elevation.
That's the sides. Would be you're looking for where the main entry is?
Yep.
Yes, that would be on the bottom there.
Okay. Since you're looking for final, is there anything else you want to bring to our attention?
Really? I mean, unless you have any other questions. We're not proposing to make any modifications at this point.
This will be the only signage on this building?
That's all we're proposing. Yes, ma'am. I mean, beyond, are you asking how many locations or? So we currently are showing them in each of those Corten pylons that you see there. So there's 3 sides to the building. We're showing on those 3, on the main entry, the side that faces Burling G. Myers, and then the internal side.
Does the Corten actually go down to the ground, or is there a
Yes, sir.
buffer?
Well, there'll be probably a concrete base to it, but it'll go all the way down to the ground. Yes.
Any other questions, comments? Anyone make a motion to approve this for final?
Make a motion.
Do we have a second?
I'll second.
Okay, all those in favor say aye. Aye. All
Thank
those
you very
opposed
much.
say nay. The ayes
Appreciate
have
it.
it.
Thank you, guys.
Thank you.
Okay, our next project is going to be the Central Avenue Flex property. The staff report has a little more detail, but I'll try and go through it quickly. They are requesting preliminary approval. They came before the board for conceptual review in July of 2024. At the conceptual review for this project, the board requested that the applicant return with their design professional, provide a revised plan that considered protecting the existing trees on site and provide open spaces. The proposed project went before the Tree Protection Board on September 9th. The Tree Protection Board only provided a conceptual review as they felt more of an effort could be made to save existing boundary trees, prevent tree encroachment, and they wanted more time to evaluate trees on site based on the tree grading provided. Staff, along with the town arborist and engineering department, feel that the layout of the buildings could be revised per the exhibit details that follow the staff report to better utilize the site. This would remove any building encroachment from the 49-inch live oak and maintain the existing buffer of trees on the northeast end of the property. The parking requirements are met at 45 spaces, though it should be noted that building number 1 appears to be about 5,000 square feet, but is listed as less. I use the square footage listed to evaluate the required parking, which would be 45 spaces. The additional parking in the rear is not needed if that is the true square footage. And can be removed while still maintaining a turnaround for life safety purposes to maintain the existing natural resources that provide a buffer. If more parking is required, staff would strongly suggest reconfiguring their layout in the interest of preserving the natural resources on site. Maintaining the existing stand of trees would appear to be more cost-effective than removing them, only having to reinstall a buffer. A landscape plan has been needed, but one has not been provided yet. Encroachments into the landscape buffers are subject to DRB approval. Staff would urge the applicant to closely study Chapter 3 of the UDO, specifically the table of permitted uses. This property is zoned neighborhood business, which does not allow for any vehicular services or small equipment rental or repair, warehouse or wholesale distribution uses. The architecture submitted features roll-up garage doors, and the site references loading areas, which appear to be intended for the aforementioned uses. Utility connections should be shown on the site, and all utilities must be underground, and a photometric plan will be needed. Hopefully the board has had time to review this, but this is just a visual of the comments made about maintaining this stand of trees, decreasing this space and shifting the buildings down, along with this easement for the new pump station. I should mention that I neglected to put this in the staff report, but that the sidewalk will need to be continued to Central Avenue. And this is just a proposed from staff. This is not from the applicant, just showing the buildings shifted down here. And I will let the applicant come up and give you some more information.
So I have a question, Becca.
Yes, sir.
What, is this the appropriate review? Don't they still have some discussion with staff in order to resolve these issues? Because these seem to be like,
They're asking
Major
for
issue.
preliminary, not final. So we let them proceed with that request. But staff did want to provide strong direction as far as the trees, per the Tree Protection Board, since y'all weren't a part of that meeting.
okay,
You did make several changes that you had made, so tell you about it.
How's it going? My name is Justin Smith. I'm the principal at Vignette Architecture. We did the architecture on the buildings. I think they're further down in the slides. And we have an architectural narrative printed out. I don't think it made it in your presentation, but
It was just submitted within the time where I couldn't add it.
okay.
We have posting requirements.
It's just a 2-pager. I don't know if it's worth giving to y'all, but it basically is just explaining kind of our vision for the buildings themselves as far as the site layout and all the things with the trees, parking requirements, we had the civil engineer here as well to discuss those things. I brought samples of all the colors, the materials that we're looking to do as well. So staff did a good job. I guess we're here for questions. It's been a while since I've had to do a DRB deal, but I think the last time I was downstairs in a small little room, but so yeah, I'm here for questions, or we need to do an actual presentation on the buildings themselves.
Can you address some of the major items staff had, the garage doors, the function of the space,
Roger,
the buildings?
the usage of.
Yeah, but biggest thing is that you can see the tree on the left-hand side. There was a 5,000 square foot building there. There's a 49-inch tree. We had talked about actually transplanting the tree. We had spoken to 2 different companies to move the tree. They've done it actually at MUSC in the general area. But after reviewing everything, we decided to keep that tree and make it actually a focal point. And if you look at the renderings, you can see where that coffee shop is there. To the left, there's a overhang. And what we're thinking of doing is putting some plantation mix on the left-hand side. On the left-hand side of the tree, as well as the right-hand side of the tree where the building is. We could put picnic tables, make this a real nice, people place. Really people friendly is the idea. It's not just really a flex space. We want to make it like a flex / retail space. And this way, the beauty of flex is, you could have many different parties, local businesses, mom and pops is really what we're looking for. We're not looking for a big box store. We want mom and pop businesses, local businesses. And also, we're talking about an area in the back which could hugely benefit the town by putting in expand the treatment plant. I'm not sure if you guys were familiar with where it is now. It's on the other property. And we were talking about adding that so that you guys could have future expansion down the road. It's on the right-hand side. You see where the single building is? That's a proposed pump station, which is 40 by 60. And if you go to the right there, it's, roughly 30 to 50 feet from where what we're proposing. And, the DPW had reached out to us asking if we could actually give a piece of our property so that they can move the pump station and move the antiquated pump station and expand, the treatment facility for the future for the town. So that was one. And then there's, if you go back to the tree plan. So if we keep the tree on the left-hand side, we lost a 5,000 square foot building. In the middle there, you see where the green is. There are like 2 to 3 trees that are like in the 20s, 20 to 30-inch range. If we are not able to take those trees down, this project really would not be economically feasible. We can't get to the last 2 buildings in the back. There's a hammerhead there, for a turnaround. The project just will not work moving forward without, us being able to take out those trees.
Just to clarify, I don't mean to interrupt you, I'm
Please.
sorry. I wasn't suggesting that you couldn't remove these trees in the center here, just that you are able to move this proposed easement further down. You would still obviously have to remove those trees. I was just trying to demonstrate that it was possible to shift this down and still allow the easement to come through
Yeah,
at the
I
same
mean,
size.
that part's fine. The main point here is if we can't have access to the back of the community, we can't, move forward because we already give up 5,000, then it's another 10 or 5 or 10,000. That's 15,000 out of 30. It just wouldn't make any sense to do this moving forward.
The tree protection
This board doesn't, we don't do trees.
Yeah.
Okay, that's fine. We spoke to the tree board about 2 or 3 weeks ago, and we did discuss some of this, but we had to bring it up to you guys as well. Yeah. I'm sorry?
They should tell you to take the trees down.
Yeah, we had talked about taking that down, and then they had talked about doing some other, putting up some other trees towards the rear, towards the right-hand side as well. But that's something we can discuss with them. We understand.
Well, you're gonna have to plant some more trees.
Yeah.
Anyway, but.
Yeah, we're in the process of coming up with a tree mitigation plan. So we're getting there.
So based upon those discussions, is this project still feasible in your part?
As long as we can move, yeah, if the trees come out, absolutely. Yeah. for sure.
Okay.
You know, and one of the benefits there is, you know, that tree becomes the focal point, and I think that's a really nice, you know, I'm sorry?
That's a good point.
Yeah, yeah, and like I said, we'll put the plantation mix around it, picnic tables. It'll be a really nice area for people to gather and, you know, be around.
I think the problem is nobody's gonna be able to see your project.
What's that?
Nobody will see your project so far off the road.
Well, we're gonna get them there. You
I
know,
don't know how you're gonna get them there, but
gonna
anyway,
get
good
'em.
luck. That's your problem.
And then to answer your question about the automotive usage, and I mean, that's not the intent at all for the tenants. And I mean, zoning takes care of that really, I think, right?
So the purpose of that comment is that we wouldn't be building something that a business couldn't utilize. Because when you know, if you see a garage door with access and a roll-up vehicular is the first thing. And I've seen it happen with other properties, that, you know,
I think
have
the
those
hope-
roll-up.
I think the hope and the plan is with the size and scale of what we're doing, that will kind of work itself out to where that's not an option. And
It was
that's
just
not-
to mitigate future issues.
Okay.
if you
What-
go to the renderings, if you can.
What,
pull that
what,
up.
what do the renderings look like? I haven't seen anything but a coffee shop.
You
I
haven't
haven't
seen what?
seen, I haven't seen any garage doors. I've just seen a coffee shop.
Well, right, that's the beginning, that's the front of the community and the project. As you go down in the rear is where we're talking about putting in the garage doors and the flex.
We
That's
just
the
need to
idea.
see them. We haven't
That's the
shown them.
rear, yeah, that's the rear of the property.
There's true elevations.
So what kind of business do you envision need those garage doors?
So basically, it's just going to be mom and pops. You know, the idea here is 1,500 to 1,800 square foot, you know, buildings, you know, spaces. If somebody wants to take up more than one, but there's no more than three in any building.
I'll
Because-
say we've done coffee shop. I mean, we've done a lot of things with garage doors like,
Maybe open them up and have seating in there?
That's kind of the idea. Yeah, exactly. It doesn't mean that you have, you know, real working, you know, businesses there. Like, you know,
Have you
properties.
looked at
But the whole
Nano Wall?
idea is to keep it as open to anybody that could, you know, use the space. That's really the true thought and idea here is to why limit it to, you know, we don't want manufacturing, we don't want certain elements there, obviously, but we want to keep it as open and, you know, as many options as possible. That's our envision. That's what we're envisioning.
Have you looked at Nano Wall in
I'm sorry?
lieu of, and you know what that is? You know what that is, right?
I know that's an option, but no, we have not explored that. I mean, but just from a cost standpoint.
I think also from an aesthetic perspective, I don't know if garage doors that aren't for garages are appropriate, but I certainly understand you're trying to achieve indoor, outdoor, living, dining space, functional space. And I think Nano Wall is perhaps a more appropriate solution. So versus a roll-up. Why is it called flex space? Are there residents here?
No, there's no resident. Flex space just basically means it's just like what it is 10 to 20% office and then 80-90% warehouse. But what happens is in flex spaces, that's what you start off with. And then you end up doing whatever it is that the tenant wants. You know, there's 16, 18-foot ceilings. They build it out to whatever, you know, it's just flexible. That's the whole point to this. That's the whole, you know, idea of what we're trying to do here.
Okay.
You know, have it a people place, mom and pop businesses, local people that want to come back and forth and make this a real good space for the town.
So you feel that you can overcome or modify your project to accommodate staff comments that are given to date?
The one question that I have here is what you just mentioned about the roll-up doors. I'd have to look into that before I make that statement of a yes or a no. We've got to factor in some costs and some design elements and some other, you know, ideas. But as long as we can get through as long as that road can go in, we could certainly, you know, accommodate many of these things. Yeah.
Well, you only have three overhead doors, don't you?
I'm sorry.
I only see three overhead doors.
That's just one
building. Okay, why don't you present the architecture?
I hadn't seen any other overhead doors.
Now that we understand
Gotcha.
some of the business issues.
So if you scroll down, we have each building elevation, true elevation. So well, that's the coffee shop on the corner. So again, we're, retail coffee, is kind of the showpiece when you come in right next to the tree that can be highlighted and, you're coming into the road.
And they have no overhead doors,
Sir?
no overhead doors.
No, sir.
The question
not
is
the
where are
first
the
building,
overhead
yes.
doors?
Yes,
Yes.
sir. So as you go further back, that's when it gets a little bit more flex space shop. But if you keep going, so this is the second building. I think that one's on the left. So once you get here, then you start seeing the overhead doors, and we modified each building slightly with colors and materials as you go through there, so they're not monotone or the exact same building every time. Try to pull in, typical low country, oversized brackets with shed roofs with galvalume metal roof. And then clad everything with kind of a light grayish.
Can you show us your samples?
The fresh water color we're looking at. Do you want me to bring it up there or do you want?
However,
So.
Yeah.
So that's kind of
The brick.
body of the brick. And
Okay.
then we have different elements throughout this, pretty, hardy board batten, and then kind of wood elements, lawn boards, good alternatives. But it reads a lot softer. And again, with the scale of these buildings, I think it looks really good. So that was the idea there. That we keep it, relatively soft, not over colors. And here's some color swatches of that we're looking at for the buildings themselves. I think that's the coffee shop buildings. You come in, that's the galvalume metal roof, which again, it's pretty typical down here. And then the storefront, just a standard black storefront.
So I have a
Okay.
question. So say building 4, you have it
Who's the
slated,
question for me or for you?
whichever one of you can
Okay,
answer.
okay.
Building 4 is shown as having, I guess, 4 storefronts or 4 office fronts. And it's flex space. So if you have one tenant that wants the entire building, are you still gonna have 4 storefronts or are you gonna have 1 storefront?
I see, here's the thing. I don't want to have, come in with one tenant, that tenant leaves and then we're stuck and vice versa, right? You always want to have options. That's again, the beauty of flex space. So we could, one nice thing about the garage doors, we could also close them up if we need to, and then put them back if we need to, because it's just a big opening. So depending on the tenant, depending on the lease terms, depending on, several factors, we could, go back and forth on that, sure.
And I'm asking so you don't have to come back here again.
Right.
That'd
In
be
the
great.
future.
Yeah, we're ready.
I think the intent is to try and keep individual tenants.
Yeah,
And
yeah.
not allow them to take.
Yeah.
the entire- Because of that reason.
I mean, what I envision somebody taking 1 or 2. I don't envision somebody taking all 3. But yeah, we'll see.
So basically you got 3 buildings that'll be flex and 2 that'll be retail. Okay.
I have
Six,
some
6
site
garage
specific
doors.
questions too.
No, 9. 9 garage.
9 total.
I have some site specific questions too. Coming in, the driveway coming in off of Central, you've got 2 parking spaces that are just there. What is the purpose of those? Or what do you,
Providing something closer to, there's not a whole lot of room for the opens, toward that focal point. And that may adjust some as we get farther in, because I still have to figure out how to do the underground storage in here.
You gonna put a
Leaving out
dumpster there?
Sir?
Dumpster?
no, that's 2 parking spaces.
That's on the
I know,
right-hand
but
side of-
how about dumpster? Okay, back,
So
back.
But with the current configuration that you have, it's going to be difficult for you to get the sidewalk extended all the way to Central.
That's true.
Okay,
That's true. We're actually already looking at shifting that because there's, you look at driveways across the street and all that. We need to.
and then on
Finalize
building
that.
4, you've got like an open space and it looks, maybe that's a blow off or a meter connection. Is there a specific reason why you need that much open space?
to get the radius for the,
I mean,
Garbage
that is
truck.
part of the design. We can put in some plantings, again, to not just make it look stark and just concrete or asphalt. We can have some plantings.
Sure, I didn't know if there was a utility reason, if that's,
No utility reason.
It's a
We're just,
design element.
we've got to have obviously areas that we can put additional trees because of the trees that we're taking
Gotcha.
out. So trying to provide for those spaces.
okay. And then my last question, I guess the graphic that Rebecca had shown with everything shifted, do you see any issues with that or do you think that that's possible or not possible? I know you probably haven't done enough engineering to say yes for sure.
The shifting, what you talk, are you,
So I shifted the buildings down, keeping the same spacing, and footprints of the building, and then keeping the same space for the easement. I'm not sure why the easement didn't go this way, but I did talk to engineering and they said that this would be feasible from, just a cursory look. And that, it could also, turn this way just as easily to meet the same intent that your site plan showed.
So when you say you shifted it, is it just to give more space? Like
So
what did you shift?
So I shifted the buildings down because this was underutilized space from what I could see from the civil plans, which would pull this building completely out of the encroachment area for the the protection area for the 49-inch oak, but still allow you to have the same amount of tenant space. The other
Let's
suggestion.
push forward. Yeah, that's something that we would like to keep. One of our mitigation plans for the trees in the rear were to prune the roots back. That was something that we discussed the last time.
so from an encroachment into some of those trees, having Mac Poffman actually write a report on how any roots would need to be pruned and handled and maintenance after that. But I get your point in the shifts of the blue.
Yep.
She's just kind of shifted them down. That takes some space from the plan.
So she tried to save your 5,000 square foot space.
no,
Well, it's still, I think.
This still shows
Not that-
5,000 square feet.
everything
We
right.
had
to the rear.
30,000.
Oh,
We
okay.
Got a whole 5,000 square foot building
They
to
already did
accommodate
that.
for that tree.
Okay.
So we still have 25 now. Yeah, I think the only difference really is there's less planting area. That's something we could discuss, but as long as it makes sense and it's still feasible from a, civil perspective, I think it could be okay.
And the other suggestion was maintaining this stand of trees, as that was something else that the tree protection board and the arborists were concerned about, especially if you do meet the parking requirement and you could still have this turnaround for the requirements of the fire marshal. And then you wouldn't have to remove these trees and install a new landscape buffer. But
Yeah,
that was just a
we-
staff suggestion.
We had discussed that. They're all, if you look there, they're all like C and D trees. They're not, the nicest, and in great condition, great shape either. So our thought was if we do take them down, we would put in a buffer. And in a couple of years, 2-3 years from now, they would grow and fill in and it would look better than it looks today. That's our thought.
We haven't gotten into shifting that quite yet, in part because when you do shift that hammerhead, you lose some of the parking. And if the suggestion you're talking about with the buildings, you shift it over, we need to make sure we have the radius there for the garbage trucks. Dumpsters.
Fire department, yeah, that's the big one. The fire truck's got to be able to turn around.
I assume this incorporates appropriate stormwater
It
retention.
will.
Okay.
The plan right now is underground storage, but it's flat and right now the places we outfall is going to be out front. So,
And then can you talk about if you're not showing it, about the streetscape and the entrance, the main entrance off the main road, and what do you plan on doing?
So we're basically looking to, right now you can't really see because it's, hasn't been maintained in the front, but we have somebody that's supposed to come out this week due to the storm. I don't know if he's coming, but the plan was to have him come in and just make about a 15 to 18-foot wide plan to just sort of go through, not disturb the big trees, just take out any brush. But we're basically just looking to open up that whole front and be able to have cars come in and out easily with no disturbance or no issue.
Any signage, monument signs?
Any signage? We would like to have some signage, yes. We'd like to have a sign in the front and then something right when you come in around the front as well, around the bend.
We'd like to see that when you come
Okay.
back.
Okay.
And then can you talk about the streetscape once you're inside your project? It seems right now the rendering is very hard, but this is preliminary. Do you envision more landscaping, more softness, some
There
outdoor
are some
furniture?
islands. Yeah, if you look into, I guess, an aerial view, you could see some islands in there. So we can put in some plantings, some palm trees. If you zoom in a little, you can see a little bit better. You can see islands. So you have 1, 2, 3, I believe it's 4
But
islands.
anything else to soften it?
We can look into that through the architects and the landscape design. We could certainly do that.
I think what you're saying, Peter, is maybe something up next to the building.
Right, some relief versus just
Sure.
100 feet of
Well,
concrete sidewalk, and especially you're creating such a unique project with the different variety of retail or businesses you're trying to create. So why not, reflect what perhaps is going in the building
Mhm.
onto your sidewalk? It seems the sidewalk perhaps is wide enough.
well, one thing that you can't see here, where if you look at that large tree that we're keeping, there's going to be the plantation mix on both sides. So that is part of what you're asking. So that is part of the plan already. And then I'm also thinking if you look at that first island, that building that's on the right, that's by itself, we can put something on that side of the building to soften it up a bit.
I would ask that you look at the sidewalk along the buildings too. Something, relief, benches, something to make it lively.
Even though there'll be benches across the way.
Yes.
Yeah. So on both sides, you're saying? Okay. Okay. I got you. We understand.
And is this open green space? Is that your land? And are you doing anything with that open landscape, or are you just going to? Okay,
Yeah. Yeah.
it's mostly trees?
Yep.
So you have no opportunity to do something?
They got a lot of opportunity.
I
They
don't-
just need to do a landscape plan.
You have a
You can't
landscape?
discuss the landscape
We are
plan when you don't
In
have
the
one.
process, it's in the works. Yes, it's.
Okay, so we'd like to see that
Okay.
at the next presentation.
Bingo.
So develop the landscaping, develop some amenities, develop your buildings more, take a look at the garage door alternatives. Take a look at the entrance. If you're gonna do a sidewalk, show the sidewalk, so when you come back, we need to see it all.
Okay.
Even what the back looks like.
Photometric plan, the whole 9 yards.
And obviously work everything out with staff before you come back. So that they bless it.
Okay. Do we have your blessing?
No, not yet.
Okay. We're working on it. Next time.
Okay, so this is just. Okay, is there a motion? Perhaps to. Inform the staff, inform the staff comments?
Yeah.
And all the other comments we just made today?
Yes.
Okay,
I'm just agreeing with you.
okay. Did you get that
When
back?
I make it, then I make
Yes.
the motion to go along with
Is
all
is there a
the
second?
staff comments and make sure we got everything together.
All the
when we go
comments
back.
that we just
What you just
discussed
said.
today,
Fair enough.
Got it.
I'll second.
okay? All those in favor say aye.
Aye.
All those opposed say nay. Ayes have it. Good luck.
Thank you.
All right, our next item for review is 445 Main Street, North Main Street, excuse me.
Project. Kill this timeline.
So they are requesting final approval. This is an exterior painting for a new tenant. This was previously Burns Jewelry Store. It is going through an upfit to Ocean Eye. Upon reviewing a request for a business license at this location, staff noted that the building finishes had been updated from brick or composite masonry unit painted a tan beige color, which I believe that's incorrect. It had white trim to all white with new awnings, which required design review board approval as the change in design impacted more than 50% of the street facing facades. Staff feels that the change in design, though completed without approval, is an improvement to the building's aesthetic and is otherwise compliant. This is just the reference from the UDO about the 50% of a street facing facade. Here's the picture of the building before and after.
Boy, does that look good or
Hello.
what?
Do you want to introduce yourself and
I'm Megan Dungan, and me and my husband own Ocean Eye. He couldn't be here today. He's in Kentucky
Very
with his
good.
mom. So he sent me, so I'll try to answer everything you can. But we went from like a darker tan to a lighter tan. And then we used the same awnings, but they were ripped but we used the same frame and the same company. And so, yeah.
was there an elevation with the sign?
Huh?
What type of signage are you proposing?
We're using the same sign, just the same size, same shape, same everything. I think we'll.
Okay.
I think
I've already approved the sign. It's
Yeah.
going to be the same exact sign, but with
we just
painted
put
and with
Ocean Eye
their
stuff on it.
signage on it,
But
but
yeah,
they
we
already
use-
have.
So this is open for business.
No,
No.
no, we have
Getting
to get
ready.
No, no, no.
Get the paper off the
They're,
windows.
they're only here because they painted the building and they changed the awnings.
Yeah.
Yes.
But it does.
And we
look-
like all that.
Huh?
Looks good.
Do
We
I-
like all that.
Yeah, it
Looks
does
good.
look
I'm glad
good.
y'all like it.
I think.
Looks
it
good.
Great.
Yeah, so
Just-
we're hoping to open soon.
Only question is, looking at this, that big space up top
Yeah.
still just remains a big blank space. I'm just asking.
If-
Like Burns, there was something there.
Well, they had that and then,
Yes,
yeah, and then they would
right.
put a big wreath up at Christmas and
Yeah.
stuff. Knowing my husband, he will do something if approved, but as of right now, it is going to be pretty simple. We're just going to put our sign up. So,
Right. I think I mean, depending on what it is, but it could look nice with something
Okay.
there.
So what sign are you gonna put up?
I mean, we're using the exact
Same
same frame. We're just putting,
The one on the side?
yeah, it's that one that we just painted white.
That's all right. It's all,
Yeah.
it's all approved anyway. That's fine.
Yeah, it's the exact same frame and everything.
I make a motion, we approve.
Second.
Thank you. Thank you.
All those in favor?
Aye.
Say aye. Aye. All
Thank
those against, say nay. Ayes have it.
All right, thanks. I appreciate it.
All right, moving on. The next project is an addition for Oak Brook Middle School at 286 Old Fort Drive. This was approved by Town Council earlier this month. Town Council reviews any public land sites. Do you need to recuse?
No,
yourself?
go ahead and finish.
Okay. The applicant has met with the town arborist and has modified their original layout in the interest of preserving the 22-inch oak tree on site. Other grand trees to be removed were of poor health and will not require mitigation. The proposed addition is within an existing developed
Sure.
site and does not present any UDO compliance issues. The proposed design lends itself to the existing facility, and as I said, town council has approved the overall site plan for this proposal as a requirement of property zoned public land.
All right, so since this has already been to council and the UDO doesn't really have any requirements for public land and it's a school, why do we need to approve anything?
It's the design aesthetics. They really only review and approve the setback and because it's public land,
But it's already an existing school, right?
correct?
They're just taking away trailers and building a new building instead of trailers.
Yes.
Which is.
It's supposed to possible existing bricks.
There's some,
I think it looks super.
Do you want to quickly walk us through?
Absolutely. I'm Tony Souls. I'm the Director of Facility Management for Dorchester School District 2.
we're building another addition. You probably noticed there's some growth around the town and the county, and we're trying to accommodate that with an addition. We've got some trailers. They're not really trailers. Those were stick-built modulars back in God knows when. I don't know, but it's time for them to go. And we need the space, so we're going to put a brick and mortar space there to accommodate our fine arts program for Oak Brook Middle School. And like Brian said, we are going to match the facade as closely as we can with the existing structures.
Oak Brook Mills.
Can you talk about the site?
Yeah, the site is, we're trying, if you can go to the site plan. Essentially, we're trying to, match the same areas the trailers were in. That's as you can see, there were 4, I believe, trailers. And we're basically, building an addition. Some of the trees will have to be removed, some additional sidewalk, and there is a small little stormwater retention area that will be utilized.
Garland Crump still the principal?
No, sir, I've heard that name over the last 10 years I've been here, but I've never met him.
Been a few years.
So the purpose of this building, it's a fine arts building. It's where
Yes, sir. Those larger rooms, you're going to have band room, chorus room, dance room, a piano lab. It's basically for the fine arts.
so is this building open after school hours?
None of our schools are really open. I mean, we try to keep them as closed, tight up as we can, but there may be events in that facility after hours, practice or something like that. Yeah, just practice, I think was.
So can you show us how the children will access the building from?
Absolutely. If you go to the other corner over there, Miss Zimmerman, yep. Plan side down about 2/3 of the way down. There's the main entrance right there. You're in the hallway there. That area just outside that is the main courtyard between Oak Brook Middle and the new addition. So that they would come in that door, the double door there, and go to their classes. There's some egress on the other side of the building, as well as egress in some of the larger rooms.
There's a covered canopy leading from the existing school, and that canopy, with the dog leg down, that's a canopy that'll cover the way up to that new doorway and beyond.
Where's the parking lot?
The parking lot at Oak Brook is out in front of the school, as it's a large, if we've got the overall site plan or a Google Earth view, it shows the very large parking lot out front of both the elementary and the middle school. It's like a big lollipop, and then 2 schools built on. Yeah, there it is right there. You can see it there. So that parking lot comes off Old Fort, and that parking lot is for both the elementary and the middle school. And then there is bus parking, a bus depot in the back of the middle school.
Basically, the school's been there for 50 years, and this has been
I
the
think it was
park.
built in the 80s,
Early
early mid 80s. I think it's like 35 years old, somewhere around there.
Early to mid 80s.
Yes, sir. Yes, sir.
And then
So are you using lime green paint on the walls again from the 60s?
God forbid.
No.
Let's hope not. Trying to stay away from the lime green these days.
we will also be coming back, I guess, for the elementary school, which is just to the north. We'll be doing a similar addition there that's currently.
So I have not seen this site. So the architecture that you're proposing for this building fits in and blends with all the existing surroundings?
Matches the school.
It matches?
Yes, sir.
Okay.
Where'd Candy go?
Make a motion to approve.
Second.
All those in favor say aye. Aye. All those opposed say nay. The ayes have it. Thank you.
I don't think Candy meant to recuse herself for, oh, there you are.
She recused on the last one.
Yeah.
She just missed this. You missed one, Candy. Yeah,
Did you have
cool.
any?
Yeah.
All right, we'll move on to our last agenda item, folks.
Last item.
All right, so this is for the completion of the Daniels Orchard development. They are requesting final approval there as the development is small. They talked to staff before coming before the board to discuss the opportunity of requesting final because it is small and most of the infrastructure is already in place. And the clicker is up there if you want to use it. I know you had asked if you would be able to. Yeah. Just to go over my staff report quickly, this project has existing infrastructure and parking that the new construction will be within. The proposed work live layout lends itself to the intent of neighborhood mixed use zoning, which surrounds the property. Though the buildings do not incorporate brick as typically is requested by the board and staff, the applicant has incorporated brick elsewhere within the site to give the project a Somerville feel while also incorporating other low country details within their architecture. The proposal does not present any issues of note as much of the site development work has been completed for some time. Staff did advise the applicant that they may request final approval, again, as the overall site has been through the appropriate processes to do so.
And we have already approved this development once, right?
Yes.
Long time ago, wasn't it?
Good evening, I'm Walsey with LFK Architects. I'm here tonight with Brian Kaiser, Stantec with Civil and Landscape, and I think Brian's going to open with Civil, and then I'll just follow up with architecture.
So with that, Civil is, the project has kind of been phased. So there were 14 townhomes. New Leaf Builders has constructed those townhomes. They are, I think they're fully sold. And that was all built. The park as well as all the asphalt, concrete sidewalks, et cetera, have all been built. So all that is existing today. And what was previously approved was kind of a true mixed use live work concept. The owners came back after getting pricing and found out it was not financially viable because of construction costs and having to do commercial building code compliance along with the residential. It just cost prohibitive. So the concept now, same number of units basically, except it'll be 12 townhome type of units with a commercial end cap on the inside of each unit mix. So and we actually have less impervious area now with this design as the less driveway space in the back.
So I believe the previous concept was commercial, retail on the bottom, residential on the top. And
That's
now
correct.
it's just
Now these
commercial
are
retail on the end.
six two-story townhomes, if you would, and on the end will be a two-story commercial single. More than likely a
level or
single
two levels.
two-story. More than likely, I think it was going to be a single tenant, right?
We've got an option of single tenant or two tenants, but each end cap is a two-story.
Commercial unit, yeah.
So it could possibly have two tenants per unit.
That's correct. Yeah.
Okay.
Any civil related questions, site?
I wish I could.
All right.
I have a site question real quick. This is an existing parking field, right? I have a site question. So this is an existing parking field. Is that still necessary with the new program that you're developing?
It's already constructed.
I know, but
But yeah, you would still keep that. It would be used for overflow parking for the development as well as for
Make sure you turn it on.
I'm sorry?
Oh, I was telling him to turn he has the clicker.
Okay. Yeah, it's already constructed, so the plan would be to leave it as is. And again, it would be used for overflow parking as needed and for, residents.
Does it coordinate with the aesthetics you want to create for what is now a residential development?
Yes, I
parking
think
fit?
it does because it looks,
Are you trying?
Lossie's going to share that, but it
Okay.
looks like a commercial building more so than a residential building.
Well, it's only 22 spaces. It's not a sea of parking, it's
Correct,
22 spaces.
correct. And there's a lot of landscaping.
You got 7 units.
And the
22
units still have
spaces now.
access on the back.
Yeah.
It looks
Correct,
like they still
yeah.
have a garage on the back
Well,
side.
they still park in the back in front of the garage door too.
I was gonna go to the existing.
And those are one car garages in the back now.
But is there a possibility over time that the developer wants to start selling off parking spaces and building a whole row of garages
Oh,
on that
no,
parking field?
No, nothing like that. There's never been any conversation about that.
And are these rentals or purchase? The
To be
residential
determined.
units?
To be determined.
But the back is all purchase, right? Those are individually owned,
The 14 that were already built were for purchase. And again, I think they've all sold.
The ones you're building, they're separate deeds on each.
They're going to be like a condo type development. It would be because of the way the common areas are with the building. Talking to the developer, they said it'd be a condo type, but they're townhomes, 2-story. Yes. Not a.
So you don't have any fire sprinklers or anything like that. You just got 2-hour separation from the,
That's the whole thing. It's a little bit of a simplified design. We keep the same program, the same number of residential units. But instead of stacking the residential use over the commercial, now we can do it beside each other. And we don't have to sprinkle or do a 2-hour fire separation. It becomes a little bit more economical to build.
yeah.
So that was kind of the thinking. I'm just trying to feel a little bit smarter about the layout than we had before.
Anything else civil-wise you want to hit?
Unless the board does.
Okay, if it's okay with you guys, I'll just do a real quick architectural overview if that works. All right, so site context here. Oh, Becca, I knew I was going to mess this up. This is high technology here. Okay, so let's see. All right, so some site context here. We're right across the street from the Dr. Jackson Dental Office on Highway 78. And at the bottom, you can see the entry to Daniel's Orchard. I'm sure everyone recognizes that. We've got the existing pads and parking that are built. Those in the top of your image there, those are the existing townhomes that reside right behind our building pads, 3-story fiber cement. And then the upper left image shows that's a common green park-like space that sits right behind our building A, which is a nice feature to have. So we got parking, we got building pads, and we really tried to respect the previous building envelope and footprint that we had previously approved. This shows you a little bit more about the building pads there. So I think I'd want to go to 210. Let me just jump ahead real quick here. Thought it might help to do a little comparison here. So just a quick comparison. Of course, the upper image is the previous one back from 2021. And then the lower image is the currently proposed design. Square footages are very, very similar. And you can kind of see on the upper image, the whole ground floor is primarily commercial. It has some residential properties in the back. Again, we got firewalls, we got sprinklers, we got a bunch of stuff that was kind of driving up the cost. And then the lower image, we've gone to just having the end caps as being the commercial. Total, it's still about 6,000 square feet. So it could really serve the neighborhood. But back to the upper image, over the past 3 or 4 years, we've just had a lot of problem getting traction on finding commercial tenants that want to take this kind of live work concept where they have a commercial space and they have people living above them. So we did multiple test fits and it just couldn't get the momentum needed to make that happen. And so when you sort of couple that with the increased construction costs, all of a sudden we've just been stuck in the mud for all this time. So that's kind of just a quick little background. So tonight, obviously, we're excited to come back and have sort of a refreshed design for you guys in hopes to get this thing moving. Becca and Tim have been great to this point, getting us going in the right direction. We've also shared the design that we're going to show you tonight with the Daniels Orchard Properties Association and ARB, and they're in favor of it and have approved it. So we wanted to make sure they were on board before we wasted y'all's time, but we have a approval letter from them, which is good. So let me go to the plans real quick, and this might be helpful just to give you a quick orientation of programmatically how this thing's working out. Okay.
I have one more question
yeah,
before you
yeah.
get started. With the reduction in the commercial area, was that a requirement in the PUD that got approved that you had X square footage of commercial?
Did not state the square footage. To my recollection, I think it just stated a mix of uses was the wording. That was my recollection.
We're roughly half the commercial square footage what we had before. We try to maintain the same number of residential.
So just to walk you through the plan real quick, this is ground level, and you can kind of see lower part of the page faces out towards Highway 78 and the parking garage. We've added these new porch features that really kind of give a lot of depth to the facade. The far right-hand side is that commercial tenant space. We're saving the previous design, which had that nice little corner piazza carved out there, so you can have some outdoor eating or cafe. And then you can see in the back, we still have the ability to park garage stalls in the back, and then the concrete apron just outside of that. And then we go to the second floor. And again, on the right-hand side, you see the commercial second floor. Obviously, if it was a tenant that wanted to be separate on the second floor, we'd have to do some sort of louver or chairlift to get them up there. Thankfully, if it's the same tenant on the ground floor as the second floor, we're small enough to where we could serve the second floor space without it having to be fully accessible. So there's some flexibility built in there. We've got firewalls between these units, which allow us to have the left side of the building fall under the International Residential Code, and the right side, the commercial end caps, fall under the building code, IBC. And again, porches on the front and back of the units here. Roof plan, we maintain the same flat roof as we had before. So I'll go ahead and jump ahead here. So if it works for you guys, I'll just go to the proposed 3D perspectives. So again, maintaining the previous flat parapet roof design. We thought this was important to kind of create a nice gateway into the community. Again, the building form and the piazzas that you see on the left and right for the commercial end caps were maintained. The material has fiber cement. And so we've got two different types of fiber cement. We have shiplap, and we have a general lap siding here. We have a color palette of 3 different colors. We've got some other warmer elements as you get closer. We've got wood soffits and wood louver features. This is the front porch of some of the townhome units that we facing out towards Highway 78. So we really like the idea of giving some depth to the facade that we didn't have before. Cable rails with a wood refined elevation look for the building. The back of the building, as Brian mentioned, we've actually picked up a lot of landscaping previously. There was about twice as much paving to actually get into the garage units. So we sort of like the idea of these sort of garden-like turf lawn areas on the back of the units. We have signboards for the commercial spaces. I was going to see if I get, this is a back alley here where you kind of see the porches and the language on the back of the building too. So gives you a sense of kind of the refinements that we've made. And then I've got a materials palette in here too that gives you some more details. Of course, we have the sample board if there's any specific questions. Let's see if I can find that palette for you right here. Yeah.
what's your base? Do you have a base? Or is this hardy board coming down to the ground? Is there a concrete base or something? Stone?
Yeah, let me go to the elevations, might be helpful there. You know what? Every time I do this, I go the wrong way. It's, it's only 3 buttons and I keep getting it wrong. Let's see. Okay, yeah, so this, the upper image there might help to answer your question. So that's the commercial end cap facing North Laurel Street that cuts between the buildings. At the base, we've got fiber cement panels on the left side. We've got storefront on the right side. And then the lighter gray that happens between the white pilasters, that's actually the shiplap. And then in the middle, the accent area is a tighter change in the siding profile, which is just a lap siding. So we're sort of varying those textures throughout.
You really go down and work out a detail
Yeah.
on the water table. Nice detail.
Um,
Like a 2x12 with a cap on it, then the siding starts above that.
Yep, we could try to better establish a water table trim or something. Yeah. And I'm sorry, let me go to the 3D so I can stop moving this. I'm probably making everybody a little bit sick here looking at it. Let's see. All right. Right there.
I would also recommend if you go to your porch, your first level porch, plan again. You know, headlights coming into the residential units. I think you can easily solve that by perhaps putting some planters within your porch areas.
Ah, okay. Yeah. So.
And you are married to that lot, right? That parking.
Yeah, it's
Okay.
everything is done. It's done. Yeah. So we've got a little bit of a landscape beds there on some of the units on the front. Yeah.
Yeah.
And Brian's got a good landscape plan that depicts a lot of this too.
But I think if you can, and it's only a suggestion,
Okay.
it's up to you. But if you think about living there and then all of a sudden headlights coming into your living room,
That's a good point. Yeah. So if-
These have a one-car garage in the back. Is
Yep.
that right?
One car.
No.
That's part of the reason too, to keep the additional parking, because it's a 1-car garage, and so someone parking in the driveway, get out of the garage, you don't have to move the car and do that shuffle.
Another place.
so are there any site amenities thought of? Whether it's a simple bike rack, whether it's,
Well, there is a park right behind us, that's a amenity.
so nothing new with this phase.
Yeah.
Part of this HOA is it not? Is it
Yeah,
part of-
yeah, that's all,
It is,
yeah.
You mentioned New Leaf. Are they building this?
We don't know who's gonna build it
Okay.
at this time.
Yeah. Sorry, I was gonna try to see if I could get to bird's eye view here.
It's a good looking building. Good looking
Aesthetically, I
project.
think it looks really nice. I think it fits
Yeah.
in and is a little more upscale. I do like it, so.
Okay,
Best looking thing on Laurel Street.
they are looking for final approval. Any other comments or questions before we vote?
Will trellis wine, will that be a rooftop bar?
That's what we, Just asking.
We were just asking.
Are you gonna open it? You want me to? I'll know your name along.
Who do we have to go to get approval for something on the roof?
Only thing about final, I just want to make sure about the landscaping, that there is landscaping identified. I mean, it's not really a landscape plan. Right. It's the rendering.
Yeah,
So-
yeah. Let me see if I can flip to the landscape.
There's no landscape
It might be
Is there a
helpful.
landscape plan?
Yeah. I'm sorry, I was kind of breezing through here. I don't know how to handle the remote control very well.
It's- ah,
Look, landscape plan.
Yeah, and there you go, yeah.
Okay.
Got the stuff.
That's good.
Okay, if there's no other comments, questions, let's vote. Is there a motion to approve the final design for this project?
Make a motion, final approval.
Is there a second?
I second the motion.
Okay. All those in favor, say aye. Aye. All those opposed, say nay. There you go. Congratulations.
Thanks, guys.
Good luck.
Okay.
Good luck, good luck.
All right, we don't have anything else on the agenda. So if we can, unless y'all have anything for me, we can get a motion to adjourn.
I think we ought to look into somewhere along the line of the legality of a private organization.
It's no,
Overcoming time.
no.
I don't believe that's legal.
I'll make a motion to it.
Is there a second?
I second.
All those in favor of adjourning, say aye. Aye. All those opposed.
Boy.
Thank you, everybody.